Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video. In this episode, we're discussing a topic that's often misunderstood: sex tourism in countries where sex work is legal. While the concept of sex tourism can carry negative connotations, in some countries, prostitution is regulated and even legalized. So what does this mean for travelers, workers, and the local economy? Let's dive into this topic and explore the nuances. First, let's define what sex tourism is in this context. Sex tourism involves traveling to another country with the intention of engaging in sexual activities, often with paid sex workers. In some places, like the Netherlands, Germany, and Switzerland, sex work is legal and regulated. This means that people can legally engage in these activities without breaking the law. While it may seem like a straightforward transaction, the reality is more complex. These countries have laws in place to protect both sex workers and clients, but that doesn't mean the industry is without its challenges. Now we are discussing a list of countries where prostitution is legal in 2024. New Zealand. New Zealand is one of those countries where prostitution is legalized since 2003. The PRA decriminalized prostitution by removing most legal restrictions on sex work. It established the Prostitution Law Review Committee to monitor and evaluate the law's impact on sex workers' well-being. There are even licensed brothels operating under public health and employment laws, which means the workers get social benefits just like other employees. According to the NZPC, New Zealand Prostitutes Collective, estimation, there are around 8,000 sex workers in New Zealand at any one time. A progressive move. Australia. The legal status of prostitution in ounce differs from state to state. Historically, prostitution laws in Australia were primarily a matter for state and territory governments, leading to diverse legal approaches across the country. It is decriminalised in some areas and illegal in other parts. The same goes for brothel ownership. South Australia's decriminalisation model focuses on harm reduction and treating sex work as a legitimate form of labour. According to a report, the market size of the brothel keeping and sex worker services industry increased 19.5% in 2023. Austria. Prostitution was decriminalized in Austria in 1975, acknowledging sex work as a legitimate form of employment. Prostitutes are required to register, undergo periodic health examinations, be 18 years old or older, and pay taxes. Prostitution in Austria is subject to government oversight, with authorities monitoring and regulating the industry to maintain standards and ensure the well-being of sex workers. Despite this, there is a lot of smuggling and forced prostitution here. In 2022, there were around 5,279 registered prostitutes in Austria. Bangladesh. Male prostitution is illegal, but everything else is legal. Provisions in the Penal Code of Bangladesh criminalize various aspects of prostitution, including soliciting, operating brothels, and living off the earnings of prostitution. In addition to legal penalties, the social stigma surrounding sex work in Bangladesh can contribute to challenges for individuals engaged in the industry. As per the information given on Wikipedia, there are 20 brothel villages in the country. The largest is Dolatdia, which has about 1,300 sex workers. It is one of the largest brothels in the world. Belgium. Prostitution was decriminalized in Belgium in 1995, acknowledging sex work as a legitimate form of employment. They have been trying to remove the stigma, violence, and fear associated with prostitution by not just legalizing it but also running proper state-of-the-art brothels with fingerprint technology and key cards. The regulatory framework includes provisions for regular health checks for sex workers to safeguard their well-being and prevent the spread of STDs. Despite this, there are a lot of human trafficking cases here. In 2022, Belgium's federal police registered 303 sexual trafficking cases. Brazil. This is in the list of countries where prostitution is legal, though you'll get busted if you're channeling your inner Snoop Dogg and pimping away to glory. Engaging in sex work is generally considered a private activity between consenting adults. At the federal level, there is no specific law that criminalizes or fully decriminalizes prostitution. According to a survey conducted by FUMEC, Minas Gerais Foundation for Education and Culture, 2014 it was found that there were about 1.5 million people in prostitution. Colombia. It is legal to work in the sex industry in Colombia, though pimping isn't. Prostitution is especially widespread in cities such as Cartagena and Barranquilla. While prostitution itself is legal, there are regulations in place to maintain public order, such as restrictions on soliciting in certain public spaces. Colombia has faced challenges related to sex trafficking, and efforts are being made to combat human trafficking and provide support to victims. UNAIDS estimates there to be 7,218 prostitutes in the country. Denmark. Prostitution is legal here. The government even helps those with disabilities get laid by incurring the extra costs some of them have to pay. Denmark has implemented regulations to govern certain aspects of the industry. This includes licensing requirements for individuals engaged in sex work and establishments such as brothels. However, trafficking remains a dominant issue here. Of the 968 persons identified as trafficked in Denmark, 717 persons were victims of trafficking into prostitution. Ecuador. Ecuador decriminalized adult consensual sex work in 2011. Quito was the first city in Ecuador to regulate prostitution in 1921, requiring prostitutes to be tested weekly for STIs. Everything related to sex work is legal here. You can sell your body, run a brothel, or be a pimp with no legal ramifications. Authorities issue permits and licenses to individuals and establishments involved in sex work. Forced prostitution is a bit of a problem here though. UNAIDS estimates there to be 35,000 prostitutes in the country. France. Prostitution is legal in France, though soliciting in public is still outlawed. Pimping is illegal and brothels were outlawed in France in 1946, right after the war. However, in 2016, France adopted a new legal framework that criminalizes the purchase of sex while decriminalizing the sale of sex. Certain aspects of sex work are regulated, including restrictions on where sex work can take place, such as forbidding street solicitation in some areas. In 2023, it was estimated that over 30,000 people were involved in prostitution in France. Thank you so much for watching this video. More sex tourism countries in next part 2 video. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.